So let us start this lecture. In last lecture, I explained you about the history of Intel processors. We started with 4004 and we came up to 480486 processor. We have seen that how this particular processor is being, in fact, what we have actually seen, it's a progress of Intel processors. That is how how the speed is increased as well as the its facilities are increased. At the same time, number of bits are increased. And in other way, the capability of processor is increased. Now we'll see today's lecture is basically on a Pentium processors and the Intel Core processors. Probably the processors now we should know in future, or the processor which you might have used 3-4 years back, or a processor now which you are using. So this information in this lecture, I may say it is a current information, and for every students who wish to know something about computer has to know about the processor, because processor is the important part in your motherboard or in CPU, or as far as performance is concerned, you need to know the various types of processor. So let us say this Pentium processor, this is the processor which is developed by Intel again after 80486 processor. As during last lecture, as I said, because of the brand name and their certain copyrights issues, Intel cannot continue with its 80586 processor naming, because some other processor like AMD and all, they have already introduced their 80586 processor before Intel 80486 is coming into the market. So that was a copyright issue. So he has to sort out that particular issue. So he has given a name what is as Pentium, that is a Penta, and Penta name is coming from, it is a P5 architecture based. That is why the name is given as Pentium processor. That is a Greek word used here. This is again a 64-bit data bus. Obviously, when you have a 64-bit data bus, 8 bytes can be simultaneously transferred from CPU to memory in a single clock cycle. It also supports bus read and bus write cycles. We have already seen the bus read and bus write mode, because here it is possible that here if you want to do such a fast transmission, then device can dedicate its address bus and data bus to in fact CPU dedicates its address bus and data bus so that they can go on transferring the data at a maximum speed. So here this is the advantage of what is called as the bus mode. So your speed about 4 to 5 times is increased than the normal speed. That is the advantage of bus read and bus write cycle. In short, reading and writing can be faster as required. Now you all understood what is pipelining and dual instruction pipeline. That means there can be two instruction can be put into one after another. It has got instruction cache, that is 8 kilobytes on board CPU. Now remember, it has two integer execution units. That means it has got two ALUs and one floating point execution unit. That is why you can have two instruction you can execute at one time. It allows the execution of two instructions to be executed simultaneously in a single processor clock, because it has got two integer execution units. Then it has local advanced programmable interrupt controller. It can speed up to 5 times more operation compared with the 80486. And it also support what is called as a branch prediction logic, which we have seen last time. What is a branch prediction logic? That means whenever the instructions are put into a pipeline, then if there is any instruction related to branch, it already predicates, or it predicates that there is a branch instruction. Then after branch instruction, instead of executing the next instruction, it actually fetches the instruction after going to specific branch. so that unwanted instruction will not be fetched because of this branch prediction logic, and ultimately your processor will run faster. So here on at if you see at the bottom, there are certain versions of Pentium. What is Pentium D? What is Pentium Dual Core? Or what is Pentium? In fact, these are the advanced versions that we'll see in this particular lecture. Now, if you talk about this is all related to Pentium processor as such. Now, if you talk about the Pentium processor, again it is a when you say Pentium in Pentium 2 and Pentium 1 processor. So here just to bridge a gap between Pentium 1 and Pentium 2 processor, I may say that there are two more processors before Pentium 2 is coming into the market. So these both processors are, one is Pentium MMX and another is Pentium Pro. And then after introduction of these two processors, then Pentium 2 came into the market. As we said, Pentium MMX, this processor was for MMX stands for multimedia extension, and at that time this processor was in competition with other processors, so they have given a higher facility for multimedia operations, that is for maybe your audio, video, animation, graphics. This serves, though this facility is extended into this, and you can hear a very good audio as well as video can be played very well by using this particular Pentium of MMX, because it has got that particular instruction set incorporated into it, and which will support almost 16-bit audio, which is a very good quality of audio. That is why this is also called Pentium MMX. Later then another processor is introduced, that is Pentium Pro, which we can say after Pentium Pro, it was again having all facilities of Pentium, but somewhat advanced than your Pentium, or we normally say Pentium 1 processor. Pentium 1 is also called as a Pentium processor now only. Then when there is a lot of changes between Pentium 1 and Pentium 2. As far as physical appearance is concerned, you can see that this is the physical appearance of the Pentium 2 processor compared to the appearance of Pentium 1 processor. You will find this Pentium 1 processor, it was a LGA 775 socket, and here this we find that appearance is different, socket is different, and this is normally called as a sleeping processor. That means it is placed horizontally over your motherboard. As against to that, this particular processor was very large. At the same time, this is the standing processor or the vertical processor. On motherboard, maybe for certain cooling arrangement and to have a better cooling, this processor was introduced with the with the position as a vertical. So this is fit into a one slot onto your motherboard. So obviously, if you want to use a Pentium 2 processor, you have to have a motherboard that will support that Pentium 2 CPU. So that is a slot-based module rather than CPU socket. That is the major difference between Pentium 1 and Pentium 2. Then this is also available with PPGA socket, that is plastic pin grid array socket. Obviously, you have to have the one PCB board that is called as a daughter board, and this also normally fitted into your slots. Okay, so for that only I have shown these particular two pictures to you that will give you the idea how exactly your Pentium 2 processor. This is plastic casing is there, as well as so in central portion shows how exactly processor is, what are the say cache memories onto it, and what is the PCB of that particular. So that actually the what we say CPU as such, but this CPU when casing is done, then it looks like something on a first or a third figure. The improved 16-bit performance and MMX supports made it better choice for consumer level operating system. That means it has, like Pentium 1, Pentium 2 also supports MMX feature, that is multimedia extension features, and it also supports 9 uh, because of better graphics. It supports your Windows 9X, that means Windows operating system. When you say 9X, that is 95 onwards. That is normally say Windows 9.1, then 9.2, and then Windows 95 version that came into market, and then multimedia application. So this is actually the Pentium 3 processor now. Again, you will find that this is a lot of changes are there. Now again, from vertical CPU, we came back to the structure of what is called as a sleeping CPU or horizontal CPU. On left hand side, it shows what is Pentium 3 processor as such, how this processor along with its circuitries. On right hand side, this is the socket which is used, and you will find there are a lot of grids or pins are there. So this particular, when it is put into this, you will find these are, so your socket or your CPU is placed into this particular Pentium 3 processor. Now see what are the features of this. It is introduced in somewhere 99. After 7 years, Pentium 3 has been discontinued, and another, just it is just like a process. If you see all in Pentium processors, once that particular process is in the market, it will be there for 5 to 7 years. After say good processor came into the market, automatically the old processors are phased out. This is very similar to what we say core model or your auto models or something like this. So new models came into the market, earlier models normally phased out, and you don't have any services or you cannot have availability of this, or even you cannot have a parts using this particular. So that is the normally a problem with, but anyway, this is being an use and throw technology, so most of the times it is not very harsh on the user because it doesn't, so it is somewhat costly, but that is not too costly. One can very easily afford between from one phase to another phase, just like what we can afford a good car model, then using an old model you can sell that particular model, or you can throw that model and you can use a new model. Just on similar line this is being developed. Now from this Pentium 5 architecture, it went to Pentium 6 architecture. Now in this architecture you can see the transistor size is from 0.25 to 0.13 micrometer. If you see the instruction set, this is Intel architecture 32 set or MMX or SSE. These are the instruction set. Just now you understood what is the instruction set, as because you have studied microcontroller. Microcontroller has certain specific set of instruction. So by using these particular instructions, you can write a program that is called as an assembly program, and that assembly programs can run onto this. So this instruction set is particularly useful to a people who develop system software like operating systems or maybe compilers or interpreters. See, for that this instruction set is necessary, and they should write all the programs by using these instructions. So common manufacturer again is Intel. If you see the CPU speed, it ranges from 4 megahertz to almost 400 megahertz to 1.4 gigahertz. FSB, that is the front side bus speed, is about 100 to 133 megahertz. It is a single core processor. At the same time, the sockets used are slot 1 socket, socket 370, socket 479. Normally 370, 479, 370 indicates the number of pins available of pins of that particular processor. And when you use socket 479, that is a mobile processor. So this Pentium 3 is also used in a mobile. As I said, it is discontinued in 2007. Then there come a next Pentium processor that is called as a Pentium 4 processor. So it is launched somewhere in 2000, again discontinued in 2008. CPU clock rate was slightly higher, 1.3 gigahertz to 3.8 gigahertz. FSB is tremendously higher, faster now. FSB made, see now, it was already 133 megahertz only. Now from 133 megahertz, FSB now 400 to 1066 MT per second or megabytes per second. This is a very high front side bus. As you know now, FSB means this is the maximum data that you can transfer between CPU and RAM. This gives the transmission rate of data from CPU to RAM or RAM to CPU. And that is why FSB is an important parameter for any motherboard as such. Then it has used certain architecture that is called as an micro architecture or a net burst architecture, this particular processor. Then if you see about instruction set, again some additional SAC1, SACU, Intel x86 and x8064, these instructions are available. The instructions which are normally used for x86 means what? I'll just explain you what is x86, i386, s86, 64 instruction. See, basically, whenever you install any software onto your computer, you always have to, when you download it, you always see that whether it is a 32-bit software or it is a 64-bit software. If a software is written with 32-bit instruction, then it will be called as a x86 or i386 instructions. So obviously these are the instructions which may be 8-bit, 16-bit or 32-bit instructions, and for this program somehow it will be lengthy. On the contrary, if you use the instruction set which uses 64-bit, so the same instruction, that is addition of number, can be done in 1 or 2 instructions, whereas addition of 64 for using x86 or i386, probably you may require 15-20 instructions. So that determines the speed of execution of your software. So if you use more number of instructions from x64, obviously your software will run fast. And that is why this is the basic difference between 64-bit software or a 32-bit software. And also same time x86 software can run on today's machines also, maybe with single speed. But if you have a x64 software, which you cannot put it into Windows having 32-bit software or 32-bit operating system. That is the basic difference. So obviously if you have a x64 machine or x64 processor, then you must install operating system which is a 64-bit. If operating system is 64-bit, you can use application software which are also x64-bit and which will run faster and it will give you the very good performance. So these are the some related to instruction set. Then this is something related to how many transistors are there: 42 millions, 55 millions, 169 millions. And every time this size of these transistors is reduced from micrometer to nanometer. These are the supported sockets for Pentium 4, 423, 478 and LGA 775. In fact, this LGA 775 we have used during the practicals when we have got all three microprocessors, and when we study motherboard in the class or in the laboratory, we have got three machines which is having this particular Pentium 4 processor having LG775 as a socket for this, and we have used this for assembly and deassembly as well as study of motherboard. So here its predecessor as it is Pentium 3, but when after Pentium 4, then again there is no P5 processor as such. There is no, so here giving a naming conventions also change, just like after 486 there is no 586 for Intel. On a similar line, after Pentium 4 there was no Pentium 5 as such. Instead, they have, as a successor, they have given a new series, what is called as a Pentium D series or Core 2 series. Whenever you say Pentium D series, that is Pentium dual core processor. That is also called the Pentium D processors. So whenever you say core in a processor, that simply means that it is a central processing unit. If you say our CPU as processor is dual processor, that means it has got two CPU. When you say quad processor, it is a quad core, it has got 4 CPU. Octa core, it will have a 8 CPU. That is the meaning of CPU, because the concept of processor change now. Processor are coming with the multi-cores, and whenever you say multi-core, that means more number of CPUs. If there are more number of CPUs, obviously you can execute the instructions parallelly, simultaneously. Okay, some instruction will be given to one CPU, so one core, another instruction will be given to another core, and this way instructions will be fetched, put in memory, and that will go on distributing the instruction to the respective processor, and that will go on executing this. So this is all, of course, for execution of this, you have to have a very good operating system which can take care of managing or using this multi-core CPU. Now you are, or we are in the era of multi-core CPU. So now let us say this is Intel Core 2 series, that is what we call as a dual core series. Okay, so there is a basic difference between dual core processor and Core 2 Duo processor. Both is having a dual, both is having two cores, but earlier invented is your dual core processor, that is Core 2 processor. Again, it is 64-bit processor. They introduced something in 2006, multi-core on a single chip. That is means two cores are there on a single chip. It may have a dual or a quad processor. Clock speed is almost from 1.06 to 3.3 gigahertz. Now see the size of transistor is reduced drastically, 45 nanometer. So obviously 291 million transistors are there on a single chip. It has got two caches now. One is 64 KB L1 cache per core and 4 MB L2 cache. When you say L1 cache per core, that means for every core there is separate L1 cache. L1 cache for first core, L1 cache of 64 KB for second core. Similarly, there is a one common cache for all the two cores. There is a 4 MB L2 cache. Then this is widely used in desktops and laptops. And in fact, when most of the times you will find your processor could be from you might be having this word dual core processor. Then advanced version of this dual processor is the Intel Core 2 Duo processor, one step ahead than your dual core processor. So here again, if you see the changes, there are very little changes from this version to another version. Now whatever you see, this particular CPU, this same Core 2 Duo CPU is available. This particular CPU, which I normally use for taking a practicals in our lab. This is the motherboard having Core 2 Duo as a microprocessor. So this particular chip is there. So if he happens to come in our laboratory at that time, I will show you this particular Core 2 Duo and its motherboard and all related to parts. Of course, now you can also see on a net, and for the time being, at least you can compensate. It is, I know that physically looking the motherboard, physically looking the CPU, and actually watching on a maybe screen, it is something different. But still, now we have to go ahead with this the situation. Now, if you see clock speed, launching speed, or minimum features, even FSB is now increased up to 1600 Mbps. This is a very good speed of light, and again it is discontinued somewhere in 2012. So now, if you see, once this is discontinued into 2012, even if you want to go for in the market, and if you wish to purchase Core 2 processor or Core 2 Duo processor, probably you will not get a new processor in the market. You will have to take what we call as a second-hand processor or a used processor or like this, because Intel has stopped the production of this Core 2 Duo processor somewhere in 2012. Now, what are the successors? So these are the successors like called Intel Core i3, i5, i7, and i9. This is the series that Intel has started, on which now we have to have a fair idea about these core processors. So let's go for these particular processors. So we'll see for Core i3 processor. Now, most of the, if you're having a laptop or maybe desktop machines, probably you'll be using Core i3 processor, because whatever the nominal, whatever the average requirement, these are satisfied by using Core i3. I mean, even if you want to run any Microsoft Office, or for that matter, say .NET softwares are there, or even if you want to run any languages softwares, whatever the advanced languages that you have, or any application softwares, maybe for video processing or audio processing like this, it, it does sufficient for i3 processor. So this is having a range. These variations are from right from 2.93 to 3.3 gigahertz. Now here you will find Core i3 means, obviously when I say Core i3 means there are 3 CPUs in one single chip. That is why the name given as Core i3 processor. So there will be 3 CPUs, 3 cores in one single processor. Now here if you see the cache, 64 KB L1 cache. So this will be for all the 3 cores. 512, this will be common cache for all 3 cores. And 4 MB L3, this will be on board. This is 4 MB L3 cache for this i3 processors. What is important is here that it supports what is called as an hyper-threading concepts. Just to introduce you what is the difference between threads and cores. So core stands for one, when you have a one core is equal to one CPU, you can say. Okay, one central processing unit is for one core. If you have i3 processor, you will have a 3 central processing unit. That means if you want to run physically, you can have the instruction, you can give only 2-3 processors. That is why we say it is a core. Physically, there are 3 processors, you can say. But when you talk about the threads is nothing but the, as I said, it is a process or a program. And there can be a 2 threads per core. That means if you have a one core, you can have a 2 threads. That means 2 processes can simultaneously run on the same one single core processor. Then what is the, when the 2 processes can run on a single processor? Yes, there are certain instructions. That instructions requires operates on some different data. If instructions are different and the data required for those instructions are different, then it is possible that you can have a simultaneous execution of this instruction. So processor decides, and accordingly some of the instruction executed on this as a then these instructions are divided into 2 cores. When one process is running, then simultaneously second processor can also be executed on a single processor whenever there is a what we say idle time of a CPU, and this ultimately increases the processing speed. Of course, it will depend upon your operating system, how it creates the threads and how it manages the threads. Of course, now all the operating systems, now what we are having in the market. So all these operating system, today's operating system like Windows 8 or Windows 7 or Windows 10, or that matter Linux or Unix, all these operating system uses the multi-threading technology for, and it manages the threads. That is why they take care of entire power of CPU is being managed by your operating system or handled in a better way. Then Intel Core 5, it came into 2009, again up to 3.6, support both hyper threading. Now another feature that is, hello, someone has started.
सर तुमचा ऑडिओ थोडा एरर आहे सर.
ऑडिओ येत नाही बरोबर. कॅन यू गेट, ठीक आहे,
थोडा
येतोय का ऑडिओ आता? इज इट ओके?
हो सर.
ठीक आहे, तुम्हाला जर समजा
Yes.
स्क्रीन छोटा वाटला किंवा काही असं वाटलं किंवा असं ऑडिओ येत नसेल तर प्लीज प्रॉम्प्ट मी. ओके, प्लीज क्लोज डाऊन युअर, म्हणजे म्यूट करा मायक्रोफोन. Okay, now upon we have seen what is hyperthreading. Now let's see what is turbo boost. Now here turbo boost is a mechanism whenever there is a demand, whether so many processes are there, then in that case processor automatically increase its speed. It runs on a higher clocking speed than its normal, and it's increase the execution speed than much larger than what is normally it is used. So this is called as a turbo boost. That means this is just very similar to what we call as you have a turbocharger, normal charger and turbocharger. When you connect turbocharger, your battery gets charged very fast. On a similar line, this data transmission will be very fast if you use the turbo mode of your core processors. Dual core, these are also available for mobile processors as well as desktop processors. There are four logical processors, then 4 to 8 MB L3 cache, and that means L3 cache is increased from 4 MB to 8 MB. This is made to high-end processor series. That means if you consider i5, this is a very good processor. Of course, you know the cost is about difference 15, minimum 15,000 difference is there between i3 system and i5 systems. If you compare the costing of this i3 and i5 processor, then of course when you can go for a i5 processor, provided you have some graphics or animations or certain gaming or if you have somewhat on a higher side, if you are users of this type of softwares on higher side, then you can go for i5 processor. And this particular slide explains you what is Intel family of processors. Basically, there are 8 Intel family of processors. Now, if you see the very first Intel core processors, which we have seen just now. Okay, this core processor is i3, i5, i7, i9, maybe dual core, core 2 Duo, and all these. So this is a one family of processors. Similarly, Intel is producing an Intel Xeon processors. This is mostly used for servers or maybe cloud computing or where very high computing is required. In such a cases, these Xeon servers were used Intel Xeon. Mostly, this is instead of desktop or mobile laptop. This is for servers range. Then higher than this is Intel Xeon processors. So this is Xeon 5 processors. Then compare what Intel has also developed certain other processors, that is Intel Atom inside. When you say Atom, that means it is a single processor. Why this is? It has also good capability, but if you want to reduce the cost of the CPU, then in that, but are if you just wanted to do some little bit of softwares or your range of softwares that you are going to use, your need either in between or a normal range, you do not need to go to very high end processor. Then in that case, you can go for Intel Atom processors. On similar line, there is a Intel Pentium Gold processor, Intel Silver processor. These are accordingly cost. This is they are vary. So depending upon your requirement, you can select. Again, for going on a downside and just for to support your desktop and laptop, Intel came up with the series that is called as a Celeron series. These Celeron microprocessors are very similar to your Intel processors, parallel Intel processor, but the cost of this is relatively lesser than your Pentium processor. Of course, its capability will also have some inferior compared with the Pentium processors. But when it comes to Intel Itanium in processors, though these Itanium processors again like Intel Xeon, this was also for a very high performance, for high reliability and scalability. This was available. So obviously, this is used for any critical applications or higher workloads, especially if high computing power is required, or maybe at data centers, or if you wanted to use these as a servers, then you can go for Itanium. We are going to see Itanium somewhat in detail because these Itanium processors are mentioned in our curriculum also. Then finally, it is the Intel Quark processor. This is also for threading purpose, and it relatively it consumes a less power, and it has got a scalable architecture. So this is nothing but these are the 8 general classification of Intel processors. Depending upon your need, depending upon your type of work, you can select the appropriate Intel processor for your, I will say, computer or for your server. Then, as I said, this is an Intel Atom processor. These are very similar to like i3, i5, i7. Instead of having multiple cores, it will be having only one core, but it will be relatively much able to, it has got certain typical applications, and based on your requirement, as I said, if you say Atom X3 processor, you will find it is high performance smartphones used. It is dual camera support HD graphics. This is extended battery lives. See, Intel also tried to enter into what is called as a mobile processor, but somehow, though it was very powerful in what we say desktop, laptop, and maybe your server processors, but Intel didn't survive in the mobile or chip market, and it has to stop its processor for mobile. So as you know, for mobile processors, if you talk about mobile processor, mostly Apple processors are used, or Qualcomm processor, that is Snapdragon, or maybe your Samsung processor. These are the three major processors are capturing the market of your smartphones processor. There you will not find Intel processors are coming into the picture. So this is related to Atom processors. Now you can have just slightly what is a Pentium Gold processor and Intel Celeron processor, because these are the two processors you can compare between these two processors, and depending upon your requirements, you can select either one. Both are really good for desktop or laptop processors. So this is the speed, maybe number of cores, memory, multi-threading supports, and other facility which memory can support for this particular sub processors. Now coming to this particular next Intel Core processors. So these, as I said, this is the latest trends. Or if you want to go for any desktop or laptop CPU, you always consider i3, i5, i7, or maybe Core 9. Even Core i7, Extreme Core 7 is available, Extreme Core 9 is also available. And as we said, so I'll just compare this particular i3, i5, and i7, and then based on this comparison, probably it will help you to select which is better and why we should go for i3, i5, or i7 processors. What is more important here in this processor, you need to understand this slide very well. If you know this particular slide, you can identify which type of Intel processor it is. Maybe very first Intel Core TM, that means that is a brand of Intel's processor. So when you say Intel Inside or Intel Core, this is the trademark. You say TM, that is a trademark. Okay, this is Intel brand. Whenever you say next figure, that is brand modifier i7, there can be i3, i5, i7, i9. That is the brand of core processor. Then if you talk about the next number, that is 8 in red circle, that is normally called as a generation of Intel. Remember, there is a difference between model of processor and generation of the processor. I will talk later on this particular issue. That is what is the model and what is the generation of processors. Next, it is called as a skew 3 numeric digits. Whenever the processor is evolved, they do normally give certain model numbers or increase. These numbers are given in the increasing order of modifications done into that particular CPU. That means whenever this is improved with certain facilities or certain characteristics, okay, then in that case, if more facilities are added into this, there will be a higher version of this, and as the version goes increasing, the SKU number is increasing. For the same Same generation process, if a SKU number is higher, that means it has got a better architecture, it has got a better power, and it is a better CPU than the same generation CPU, I will say. Like 8 generation, if SKU number is 850, that means this 850 is relatively better than 650. Then last digit that is come out, that is called as the product line suffix. It actually indicates which type of processor it is. That means for which area. Let us say if you want to use overclocking, that means turbo boost mode, you should go for K processor. If you wanted to power optimize, suppose if you want to use optimized power requirement, then you can, for that last word will be T. For high performance graphic, H is used. That normally that word G1 to G7 sometimes it is also used indicating the graphic speed. HK indicates high performance graphics unclocked. HQ high performance graphics quad core. U means ultra lower power. It needs a very low power. So if you have got a U or a V type processor, these are normally used into your maybe mobiles or maybe laptops. Because of this very small power consumption is there. Then M is normally used in a mobile processors. These are designed for mobile processors. MQ is quad core mobile and MX is mobile extreme edition. So this way, from this particular number, you should able to identify which processor you have, which generation processor you have, what is the SKU number of this, and for which type of processor it is, whether low power, high power, mobile, quad core, two core, or maybe high performance, unlock, overlock, power optimized. Based on this particular suffix, you can identify which type of processor it is. Now this is the comparison of i3, i5 and i7. This particular slide is directly taken from your Intel website. So here if you carefully see these particular slides, it will give you the comparison between i3, i5 and i7. So very first is maximum processing frequency. Processor frequency, it from 4 to 4.7 gigahertz. That means relatively there is no variation in clock speed as such if you see. Then number of processors or cores and threads. So if you see in core there is a 4 processor and 4 threads in core i3. Here also there is 6 processor and 6 threads, but here multi-threading. That means whenever you say the number of threads are more in case of core i7 processor. That is why it is processing is very fast, because entire process is divided into two process and then that will be executed on that particular i7 process. When you say turbo boost technology, this turbo boost is also available to i5 and i7. In extreme case, your based on your requirements, your speed is automatically increased. Processor automatically increase the speed of execution, which is not available in i3. When you say hyper-threading technology, it is available on only i7. It is not available in i3 and i5. If you say about smart cache up to 8, this is 9, and maybe 12 MB cache is there on your core i7. As far as memory support are there, it can support DDR4 266, but it can support only DDR4 2400. Then number of memory channels and relative other, if you talk about, then graphics dynamic frequency, it is relatively higher for this i7. Otherwise remaining all the features, whatever 810 features, these are also available in all the core i3, i5 and i7 processors. So this is just a brand name as such. If you really have a optimum requirements, then I'll suggest you go for i5. If you do not have very high level or higher end requirements, always go for core i3. And if you really are working with certain high graphics or animations or maybe video processing or rendering or some very intensive computing work, then in that code only I will suggest go for i7. That doesn't mean if you are working on a Microsoft Office, and whether you use a core i3 or core i7, that is not going to affect much. So even if you consider the speed of operation, user will hardly able to feel the difference of operation between the three. So that's depending upon your software, that is demand of the software. Accordingly, you can select the proper core for your CPU. Now, as I said, I will just explain you the difference between Pentium models and what is a Pentium models and what is Pentium generations. So these are the Pentium models. As we have, in short, we have seen almost all. Pentium 1, 2, 3, 4, then Celeron processor, Pentium M, these are for mobile purpose, Celeron M also for mobile devices. Pentium dual core you have. You can also have a single core that is called as a core solo, that is normally we say atom processors. Then core duo processor, core to duo processor, core CAD processor, and core i3, i7. These are all the models of that particular processor. But when it comes to generations, now when you go into the market, people say it is a fourth generation CPU, it is a fifth generation CPU, it is a 10th generation CPU. Then what is exactly meaning of generations of the CPU? So this gives generation gives you the better idea that what enhanced feature set it has and what is the speed compared to the previous one. When you say first generation Intel processor, so that is a Nehalem. It is based on your architecture. Which type of architecture is used for that particular processor? So that will be called as a, see, remember i3, i5, i7. All these processors will be available in all the generations. Okay. Then which generation we should go for? Then there is always a third party comparison is there. There are tests or their speeds are measured and these are actually being shown and this is made public too also. So not necessarily that if you have a 10 generation CPU, that is not necessarily going to be higher or very powerful than compared to the fourth or fifth generation. This is depend. There are many factors on which this is depend, but definitely as you say from first generation to 10th generation, which is now currently being used, you will find that what is this Nehalem, Sandy, IBI, Haswell, Broadwell, all these are words, these are the names given to your architecture of your CPU. Every time architecture changes and this architecture brings, because of whenever the architecture changes, you will always find that the size of the transistor is reduced. When the architecture changes, then there comes with the new generations. So these are the names of the architecture: Nehalem architecture, Sandy architecture, IBI architecture. These are the architecture in their respective generations. Obviously, higher generation is better in architecture compared with the earlier one. As we say, it has got an enhanced feature set as well as speed of operation is higher. If you talk about the ninth generation, you will find this is named as Coffee Lake, introduced in 2017, and it supports 8 core. If you talk about the 10th generation, which are the now processors available in the market, but it is relatively it is very costly. आपण 9 जनरेशन 10 जनरेशनचं सीपीयू जर घ्यायला गेलो तर त्याच्यामध्ये जर कोर i5 घ्यायचा म्हटलं तरी त्याचा 5,000चा दोघांमध्ये फरक असेल. आता मग तो तुम्हाला त्याचाच देतोय का नाही, तुम्ही म्हटलं मला कोर 5 द्या, i5 द्या, तर मार्केटमध्ये गेल्यावर you should know that which processor you want and whatever the processor you purchased, whether same processor is given to you. You may be demanding 9th generation and the person may give you the 4th generation i5. Okay, then how you'll identify this? So obviously you need to identify this from what we said already. So this slide will help you to identify your processor number. That processor, that red, that gives you the generation number, 8 generation, 4 generation, like that, and this will give you whether you get i7 of that generation only, of 7 generation or 8 generation or 9 generation. So this is what I mean, the generation of Pentium processors. Now here you find 11th generation. This is Tiger Lake. It is in the process and it is yet to be released. Even they are also in the process of, they are in the R&D of a 12th generation processor. That means whenever this processor coming into the market, their R&D work is almost 2 years ahead than the current. CPU. Okay, finally in 5 minutes we'll finish up this today's topic. As we have also in a curriculum what is Itanium processors. So Itanium processor, it is actually the processor jointly developed by HP and Intel company. These processors are originally developed for to cater the needs of higher end servers. Okay, and fast computing. That is why these are being developed. It is normally used in the server systems or server CPUs. Itanium is also a 64-bit Intel processor, but it has got IA64 architecture. Intel Atom. So here you have a 64-bit architecture, as well as you can have an. There are two type of architecture. Itanium architecture is different than 64-bit Intel architecture. Okay, so here this is implements Itanium architecture. That is why it is called as an Itanium microprocessor. These are used for enterprise servers and high performance computing systems. As I said, this is developed by originally architecture developed by Hewlett Packard, that is HP, and then jointly HP and Intel came together and they have developed this particular CPU and they have marketed that particular CPU. They started somewhere in 2010-12, and then this Itanium process, there may be because of certain maybe issues or like in 2019 again this Itanium processor stopped. Intel stopped processing this Intel Itanium processor. So this is somewhat a different architecture than what we normally see a architecture of 64-bit processors. So fetch engine is different, fetch predictors are different, that is shown in a blue color. Then you have a green colored, what we have a instruction cache, L1 data cache, L2 cache, L3 cache. In yellow colors, it is shown with the certain registers and what are the how many registers and how many operations you can do. In red colors, it is shown with the floating point operations and maybe what are the branch instruction, logics, control unit, decoder functions, etc. So all this is the basically somewhat architecture of this processor is different than normal Intel processors. So these are the highlights of this particular Itanium processors. How many large number of transistors are there? It is 8 core, very high cache memory in MB. This is used for very reliable availability, as well as you can say this is servicing. So this is remote access services are better, improved RAS services, and that is remote access services. If these are the servers, you have to access the servers from remotely. So you must have a good RAS systems. That means RAS, that is a remote access service, and better power management technology. Here see this size is reduced to 32 nano process technology, 32 nanometer, and this is compatible with some earlier processors. So just to have a comparison, these are also the progress of this particular Itanium processors. So these Itanium processors here, these are the development of processor, the name given to this particular processor. Intel continue with this particular Itanium processor right from 2002 to 2019. That means 17-18 years that was continued, but in 2019 these Itanium processors are also stopped. So I think this is all about the latest microprocessor information that I supposed to give to you. So here now, if you have got any problems, now your problems are welcome. Few difficulty. हाँ, बोला. आवाज फार मोठा येतोय. हा बोला. कोणाला काही डिफिकल्टी आहे का? हॅलो. आहे का कोणाला काही डिफिकल्टी आहे? का लेक्चर जास्त लॉंग झालंय? हॅलो. हा बोला, काय आवाज येतोय का? हॅलो.
हॅलो सर.
हा
हॅलो
बोला. हा
सर, i5 च्या खालचे जनरेशन जास्त मोस्टली चालतात की i5 च्या वरचे?
आता हे बघ, तू i5 पण म्हटली आणि जनरेशन्स म्हटली, बरोबर आहे. हा, आता मी काय म्हटलं की देर इज अ डिफरन्स बिटवीन जनरेशन्स आणि i5. जर तू i5 च्या वरची आणि i5 च्या खालची जनरेशन्स असं म्हटले तर मी तुला काय म्हणेल, जनरेशन पहिलं जनरेशन असेल किंवा 10वं जनरेशन असेल, त्या 10ही जनरेशन मध्ये तुला i5 अवेलेबल आहे, बरोबर आहे. हॅव यू अंडरस्टूड
ओके
द
सर.
डिफरन्स बिटवीन मॉडेल अँड जनरेशन?
येस सर.
प्रत्येक जनरेशनचं आर्किटेक्चर डिफरंट आहे. जे तसं त्यांनी म्हटलं, आईस लेक आहे की कॉफी लेक आहे की 11 आहे की सँडी आर्किटेक्चर आहे की आयव्ही आर्किटेक्चर आहे, प्रत्येकाचं आर्किटेक्चर वेगळं आहे. जे i5 इज कमिंग इन ऑल द आर्किटेक्चर्स. मग कोणतं i5 तू घेतला पाहिजे, तर दॅट इज मोस्टली हायर जनरेशन. हायर जनरेशनचा i5 जर घेतला तर त्याची कपॅबिलिटी चांगली असेल, इन्स्ट्रक्शन सेट चांगला असेल, म्हणजे आणि ऍट द सेम टाइम तो काय करू शकेल, त्याचा स्पीड चांगला असू शकेल. म्हणजे जेव्हा आपल्याला i5 घ्यायचं तर नुसतं i5 घ्यायचं असं म्हणून चालणार नाही. आपल्याला काय म्हणावं लागेल, पहिल्यांदा आपल्याला हे ठरवायचं आहे की i3 घ्यायचा का i5 घ्यायचा का i7 घ्यायचा. ओके, ते डिसाईड केलं आपण. त्याच्या नेक्स्ट स्टेज मध्ये जाऊन आपल्याला हे बघायचं आहे की कोणत्या जनरेशनचा आपण घ्यावं. मोस्टली आपण एक जनरेशनच्या मागे जायला काही हरकत नसते, बरोबर आहे ना. मागच्या जनरेशन वरनं आपल्याला कळतं की कोणतं जनरेशन स्टेबल आहे, कोणाचे रिस्पॉन्सेस चांगले आहेत, कोणतं जनरेशन चांगलं आहे. जसं आपण ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टीम म्हणतो, मग 8.1 वरती जायचं, 8 वर जायचं का विंडोज 10 वरती जायचं, तर आपण काय म्हणतो, अरे विंडोज 8 पेक्षा 8.1 स्टेबल आहे. 8.1 फार दिवस मार्केटमध्ये होती, 10 याच्या अगोदर, आणि इट वॉज व्हेरी स्टेबल फॉर 4-5 इयर्स. याचा अर्थ ती जरी असली तरी चालते आपल्याला. एकदम नवीन विंडोज 10 टाकायचे आणि तिचे प्रॉब्लेम्स लागन तेवढे क्रिएट व्हायचे, त्याच्यापेक्षा आपण एक स्टेज मागं स्टेबल घेतलेलं चांगलं. त्याचप्रमाणे प्रोसेसरचं आहे. तुम्ही 8व्या जनरेशनचा किंवा 9व्या जनरेशनचा घेतला तर कॉस्टही कमी राहील आणि त्यातलं स्टेबल सीपीयू कोणता आहे, त्याचे मार्केट रेटिंग्स काय आहेत, त्याचा परफॉर्मन्स काय आहे, ते तुम्हाला वेबसाईटवरती सगळं दिसतं. सगळ्या गोष्टी, कोणत्याच गोष्टी हिडन नसतात. तुम्ही जर याचा स्टडी केला मायक्रो प्रोसेसरचा, तर तुम्हाला त्याच्या थर्ड पार्टीनी त्यांनी हे केलेलं असतं, वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे सीपीयू वेगवेगळ्या कंडिशन मध्ये ते कसे एक्झिक्यूट होतात, कसा परफॉर्मन्स देतात, आणि त्यांनी रेटिंग दिलेली असतात. आणि जसं आपण प्रत्येक प्रॉडक्टला रेटिंग देतो ना, आजकाल मार्केटमध्ये रेटिंग द्यायची, प्रत्येक गोष्ट घ्यायची असेल तर आपण बघतो त्याचे रेटिंग काय आहे. तर याचे तुम्ही रेटिंग बघू शकता आणि अकॉर्डिंगली यू कॅन सिलेक्ट अ प्रॉपर प्रोसेसर. की तुझ्या प्रश्नाचं उत्तर मिळालं?
हो सर.
ओके,
थँक्यू सर.
अजून कोणाला आहे? दिस पर्टिक्युलर पहिलं लेक्चर तुम्ही विसरून जा. 4 ऑफकोर्स बेसिक कन्सेप्ट तर लागतात तुम्हाला 486 पर्यंत येण्यासाठी, पण आजचं लेक्चर जे आहे probably this is going to give you the very good information आणि गुड आयसाइट टू यू. इंट्रोडक्टरी, आता तुम्हाला आज जाऊन तुम्हाला किती डीप करायचं हे तुम्ही ठरवायचं आहे, बरोबर आहे. बेसिक कन्सेप्ट मिळाल्यानंतर तुम्हाला कोणता प्रोसेसर काय आहे, त्याच्यामध्ये वेगळ्या फीचर्स कोणत्या आहेत, कोणकोणत्या चांगल्या फीचर्स आहेत, त्याच्या कंपॅरिझन्स कशा आहेत, कोणत्या फार छोट्या छोट्या बारीक बारीक गोष्टी आहेत अगदी त्या प्रोसेसर्स मध्ये सुद्धा, की हाऊ इट इज वन इज डिफरंट फ्रॉम अदर. म्हणून मी म्हटलं की i5 चा एखादा 4थ्या जनरेशनचा 10व्या जनरेशनचा जर असतील आणि जर तुम्ही त्याचा क्लॉकची फ्रिक्वेन्सी बघितलं तर एखादा कदाचित क्लॉक कमी असेल, परंतु त्याचा परफॉर्मन्स कदाचित आहे ना, ज्याचा क्लॉक जास्त आहे जनरेशन जास्त आहे त्याच्यापेक्षा याचा परफॉर्मन्स चांगला असू शकतो. तुम्ही मार्केटमध्ये बघू शकता. ओके, एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? हॅलो, ऑलमोस्ट 1 तास चालला. 1 तास जास्त वेळ होतो का तुम्हाला पेशन्सच्या दृष्टीने? तर मला काही वाटत नाही, पण तुमचं जरा मला विचारायचं, काय तुमचं काय फीडबॅक आहे? हॅलो, काय वाटतं तुम्हाला? म्हणजे 1 तास कॉन्सन्ट्रेट करता येतं?
हो सर.
करता येतं का नाही?
हो सर.
करता येत असेल तर चांगली गोष्ट आहे, परंतु मला वाटतं अर्धा पाऊण तासापेक्षा ते थोडंसं मोबाईलवरती थोडं टफ होतं असं माझा अनुभव आहे. पण
हो सर.
मी बघेल की 30-35 मिनिटाच्या वरती आपण शक्यतो जाणार नाही. म्हणजे हा टॉपिक होता म्हणून मला वाटलं की चला आता कंटिन्युअस टॉपिक आहे एकदाच आपण एकाच वेळी संपवून टाकू. लिंक टॉपिक होता ना हा. त्याच्यामुळे स्पीड अप करण्यापेक्षा एकाच वेळी संपवावं म्हणून मी घेतला. पण आय विल से दॅट अवर लेक्चर्स विल गो फॉर 30-35 मिनिट्स कारण 30-35 मिनिट्स मध्ये बरीचशी माहिती मिळते. आणि त्याच्यावरनं आपण 10-15 मिनिटं डिस्कशन केलं की त्या टॉपिकची आयडिया बऱ्यापैकी क्लिअर होऊ शकेल. सो शक्यतो 1 तासापर्यंत चालणारे लेक्चर फार कमी असते. विल ट्राय टू रिड्यूस इट टू 30-35 विच इज ऑप्टिमम असं मलाही वाटतं. म्हणजे आता तुमची बिअरिंग पॉवर चांगली असेल तर दिस इज वेल अँड गुड पण स्टील इट हॅज सर्टन प्रॉब्लेम्स. व्हॉट हाऊ मेनी अननोन युजर्स आर स्टील टुडे. ओके मी ह्या आठवड्यात जरा आता मी थोड्या वेळाने घेऊन बसणार आहे त्याला माणसाशी बघतो लेट अस सी व्हॉट इज दिस अननोन युजर्स प्रॉब्लेम. बट एनिवे मला आज आपण एक काम करूया फक्त एवढे बरेचसे मुलं दिसतात 41. मी जस्ट नंबर सांगतो माझ्याकडे कोणते आहेत. त्या नंबर व्यतिरिक्त जे विद्यार्थी आहेत ना अननोन युजर्स वाले त्यांचे मला थोडेसे प्रॉब्लेम्स बघायचे आहेत म्हणजे आपण आयडेंटिफाय करू शकू जर तुमचं का हे कशामुळे. बरं याच्यापैकी काही लोक जर तुम्ही नंबर घेतो ना तर तुम्ही फक्त मला मोबाईल किंवा लॅपटॉप किंवा डेस्कटॉप वरनं ऑपरेट करता एवढं सांगा फक्त मला. 178,027
येस सर.
कशावरनं काम करते तू?
फोनवरनं.
मोबाईल वरनं ना म्हणजे
हो.
22 सृष्टी.
सर मोबाईलवरनं.
अच्छा ओके नंतर 168,080
सर मोबाईल.
मोबाईलवरनं. ओके नंतर धनंजय 168,210 मोबाईल. 178,097
सर मोबाईल वरून.
ओके 178,102 178,102 मोबाईलवर. ओके 178,103
सर मोबाईल वरून.
अच्छा 178,209 कोण आहे 178,209? मायक्रोफोन चालू करावा लागेल नंतर बंद करून टाका ज्याची अटेंडन्स झाली तर. 1-2 मिनिटं फक्त 178,209
फोन करतो सर.
अच्छा नाही नको करू कशावर ऑपरेट करतो मोबाईल वरती का? 178,209 कशावर काम करतो?
वॉल्यूम करतो सर.
178,209 ओके 188,002 साक्षी.
सर मोबाईल वरनं करते.
अच्छा
मोबाईल
गौरी
वरून.
झालं 17
सर मोबाईल वरून करते.
45
सर मोबाईल वर.
48 कशावर कनेक्ट होते?
सर मोबाईल वर.
अच्छा प्राची तू?
येस सर मोबाईल.
अच्छा अजय 188,063
मोबाईल वरून सर.
72
मोबाईल
188
वरून सर.
अच्छा 188,076 फसाटे. अच्छा तुझा मायक्रोफोनचा आवाज येत नाही पण तू पण मोबाईल वरतीच असेल. 188,113 नाही 113 आहे का जागेवरती? बरं 202 देवरथ बंडाळे.
मोबाईल वरून जॉईन झाले सर.
अच्छा वैश तुझा आवाज फार छान आणि क्लिअर येतोय. 224
सर मोबाईल वर.
अच्छा ही आकांक्षा आवारे 188,003
मोबाईल वर.
अच्छा अगोदर नंबर टाकत चल नंतर नाव टाकत चल. 188,094 गौरव. नाही माहिती. हर्षदा आष्टेकर, तू नंबर टाकला होता का नाही?
हो सर, टाकला होता.
पण इथे दिसत नाही. का नाही दिसत? काय बाकीचे दिसतो, तुझा का दिसत नाही बघावं लागेल. किती नंबर आहे तुझा हर्षदा?
178011
1780.
178011.
ओके, 178011. नंतर किरण घोगरे.
हो सर, मोबाईल वरनं.
अच्छा. कुणाल बिडवे.
सर मोबाईल वरनं सर.
आणि बाकी आता हे अननोन युजर्स आहेत, मला काही कळत नाही. हा कोण आहे बघा बरं, मी जो क्लिक केलेला आहे तो दिसतो का तुम्हाला? हा अननोन युजर. आता कोण बोलतोय हा? एक एक जण बोला ना. कोण कोण आहे हा?
साहिल.
साहिल. ओके. साहिल, तुझा नंबर किती रे?
178118.
178118. ओके. दुसरा हा कोण आहे आता? हा
संकेत.
हा?
संकेत 188054.
संकेत 118054. पुढचा. बाकीच्यांनी लिव्ह केलं तरी चालू शकेल, बाकीच्यांनी बाहेर पडले तरी चालेल. फक्त अननोन युजर ज्यांचे आतापर्यंत अटेंडन्स झाली नाही ना, त्यांनी थांबा.
हॅलो सर.
हा बोला.
हॅलो.
हा बोला ना. हा
188035 सर.
188035. कोणाचा होता
Yes,
हा
sir.
नाव? नाव कोणाचं होतं?
मधुरिमा पांढरे.
काय? मधुरिमा
मधुरिमा पांढरे.
पांढरे. ओके.
हॅलो सर.
हा बोला.
188107.
188107. नाव?
ओंकार मोरे.
ओंकार. तू का होत नाही, जरा थोडासा प्रयत्न करा. मी तुम्हाला उद्या सांगतो कशामुळे तुमचे काय प्रॉब्लेम.
दिसतंय नाव म्हणजे
तुमची नावं दिसत आहेत, पण मला अननोन युजर म्हणून दिसत आहेत. काय माहिती नाही का?
आमच्या इथं
बरं.
सगळे दिसते सर, फक्त तुमच्या याच्यामध्ये दिसत नाही सर ते.
हा व्हेरी गुड. तुमच्या ह्याच्यात एकमेकाला दिसतं का तुम्ही कोण आहे?
हो सर, हो सर.
येस सर.
हा सर दिसतोय.
सर नेमच येत नाही आमचे सर.
तुमचं नेमच येत नाही का? अननोन युजर येतं?
नाही, अननोन युजर येतच नाही आमच्यामध्ये, सगळ्यांचं नेम येतं.
अरे मग हा काय प्रॉब्लेम आहे? माझ्या सिस्टीम वाल्याला विचारावं लागेल.
सर आम्हाला आमचे नाव दिसतात सर.
व्हेरी गुड. मला फक्त आता राहिलेले मुलांचे सांगा, त्यांचे नंबर मी लिहून घेतले. सांगा, कोण सांगताय?
हॅलो सर, आकाश डोळे 188074.
देवरे का? हा किती?
नाही सर, आकाश डोळे
डोळे. किती नंबर?
188074.
188074. ओके. पुढचा नंबर?
सर त्रिवेणी शिंदे सर.
त्रिवेणी शिंदे. मी काल बोललो.
सर 188221.
188221. ओके.
हा.
नंतर
तन्झीला मिर्झा.
मिर्झा तन्शीला. ओके. तुझा?
हॅलो सर.
188 किती?
188031.
1880 मिर्झा. अजून कोण राहिलंय?
हॅलो सर.
वेदांत. अरे वेदांत, तुझा काय प्रॉब्लेम होता याच्यात? तुला सापडत नाही का प्रोजेक्ट लिस्ट मध्ये?
सर 1881 सर होता.
1881
13.
ओके. 188113. वेदांत, प्रॉब्लेम काय होता? मेल केला होता मला, काय प्रॉब्लेम होता?
नाही सर, ते माझं कनेक्टिव्हिटी लॉस झाली वाटतं.
पण आता झालंय तुझी एंट्री?
हा, आता माझी कनेक्टिव्हिटी येते.
ठीक आहे. पुढचं कोण आहे?
हॅलो सर.
हा बोल.
प्रियंका दरेकर 188053.
188053. दरेकर प्रियंका.
हो.
अजून?
हॅलो सर.
हा.
प्रतीक्षा निकम 158073.
1580. तुझा रिझल्टचं काही झालं का शेवटी काही?
नाही सर, चेक नाही केलं मी अजून.
ओके. नंतर तुझा त्या रिझल्टच्या पाठीमागे लाग थोडीशी. हा जरा आणि पास
हो
वर
सर,
कर.
चेक करते मी.
पुढे अजून
हॅलो सर.
कोण?
वैष्णवी आहे.
कोण आहे? वैष्णवी.
वैष्णवी आहे.
हो माहिती मला. 188081 बरोबर आहे ना? 188001. ओके वैष्णवी ठीक आहे
हो
अजून
सर.
हॅलो हा तुझा आवाज नाही येते बाकीच्यांनी लिव्ह केलं तरी चालेल आणि मायक्रोफोन बंद करा सगळ्यांनी बाकीच्यांनी तुला काय होतंय बोल बघू आवाज क्लिअर येत नाही बोल बघू हा
सर माझा नंबर 8771
83
8771
178071 हा कोण मगरे आहे का कोण आहे
जीवन मागरे सर जीवन मागरे.
हा जीवन मगरे मला वाटलं त्या आवाजावरून हा पुढचा
हॅलो सर 1880 19
1880 नाव
प्रथमेश गाताडे
प्रथमेश
गाताडे.
गाथाडे ओके अजून कोण राहिलंय अजून कोणी राहिलंय का अननोन सगळे संपले ओके फाईन म्हणजे एक जवळजवळ आज 44-45 लोक होते त्यातले कोणते 44-45 आहे हे तरी मला कळेल आज
हॅलो
ठीक आहे
सर.
थांबा हा बोला हा
सर एडीएम चे प्रोसेसर एडीएम रायझन आणि इंटेल i5 मध्ये काय डिफरन्स काय आहे बेसिक दोन्ही.
इंटेल कोणते एटीएम प्रोसेसर्स का
हा एडीएम हा
नाही एटीएम प्रोसेसर्स आणि आता काय होतं यांचे इफ यू सी मोबाईल प्रोसेसर्स मध्ये हे दीज आर नॉट व्हेरी गुड प्रोसेसर्स ऍज फार ॲज स्मार्टफोन्स आर कन्सर्न परंतु हे रायझन आणि हे जे आहेत ना ते प्रोसेसर्स लाईक AMD वगैरे याच्यासारखे आहेत म्हणजे इंटेल प्रोसेसरच्या स्पीड आणि त्याची आपण काय म्हणू कॉम्पॅटेबिलिटी याला कॉम्पॅरिझन दुसरे कोणतेच प्रोसेसर येत नाही फक्त इंटेलचं डिसएडव्हान्टेज एकच आहे की त्याच रेंजमध्ये ते रिलेटिव्हली कॉस्टली आहेत पण तुम्ही MMD किंवा रायझन या सार प्रोसेसरसाठी गेलं तर तुम्हाला हायर कोर प्रोसेसर त्याच मध्ये मिळू शकतो बरोबर
ओके
आहे
सर. हा
अजून काही ओके देन आपण इथे थांबूया आज परत परवा दिवशी भेटू 8:30 ठीक आहे
येस सर.